Welcome to the Liberty Watchdog Network, a highly enlightening show that discusses America's founding principles and how they still apply today. Learn what our government was intended to be, how it has gotten out of control, and what you can do about it. For the Constitution and God's law is in crisis. And if you are a concerned American about the direction of this country, then you are not alone and must tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can't defend what you don't know. Either you learn it or lose it. Please be sober-minded that what we are about to share will be shocking to you. I am your son of the American Revolution host and LibertyWatchdog.com founder, Nate Green. So let's explore our nation's principles of liberty. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is August 9th, 2017. I pray you all are having a blessed and fruitful week. Do you support the Constitution of the United States? Everyone always says yes, but I need you to prove it to me by asking you four basic questions. Where does liberty come from? How many delegated powers does Congress have? What about the Supreme Court, the President? And if you're unable to answer these four basic questions, then sadly, we the people end up voting away our own liberties due to our own apathy. So today's topic is, what is the source of morality and virtue? So let's delve into our first segment, Real Watchdog News. News that you generally don't hear from what we call the Mongols of media. Because remember, only 7 major corporations control everything you see, hear, and touch in the news. This past week, Fox News reported, Princeton asks students to pick from 6 genders. The Ivy League Student Services Interface is known as Tiger Hub, allows but does not require students to select one or more of the following. If you are a CIS gender, a gender queer, a gender nonconforming, a transgender, a man, a woman, and other. The big question for me is, what is other? Sadly, folks, the sheeple in this nation have forgotten that Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Dartmouth, Columbia, William and Mary, Rutgers, Brown, University of Pennsylvania all started out as Christian seminaries, folks. Back in 2014, ABC News also reported that Facebook had a list of 58 gender options for users. Anything from what they call agender to gender variant to pangender or non-binary, and one even called two-spirit. Wow. Also this week, ABC News reported transgender day camp to include 4-year-olds. The camp in San Francisco Bay Area city of El Dorado caters to transgender and gender fluid children. Whatever gender fluid means, I have no idea. Ages 4 to 12. They would like to expand their concept to even Colorado and some other states. By the way, did you know that there are over 11 gender-neutral Bibles that have been altered from the original Greek, such as the 2011 NIV? And that's something we'll discuss in future shows. So my question to you with the information that I just shared is, if we put aside Yeshua's natural law and replace it with our own agenda or agenda of others, how can you expect a moral order in a society? So what are we witnessing in America? The moral destruction of our nation, folks, where good is evil and evil is good and we accept it, which by itself is the definition of tyranny. So how does such perversion take place? Who is the source of redefining such laws of nature? And more importantly, ask yourself, is it possible to redefine the laws of nature and nature's God when such laws predate those who think they can do so? Your homework, folks, is to find out who these revisionist people are. Are they millennials? Are they deep pocket globalists? Your job is to research the source and to let us know what you find out. So let me give you a hint. Have you ever heard of false memories? Have you ever thought that you locked your front door, but you never did? You see, a false memory is an apparent recollection of an event that did not actually occur. Memory researcher Elizabeth Loftus has demonstrated through her research that it is possible to induce false memories through suggestion. She has also shown that these memories can become stronger and more vivid as time goes on. Over time, memories become distorted and begin to change. In some cases, the original memory may be changed in order to incorporate new information or experiences. Let me share with you a few quotes from the past. If you say a big enough lie and say it frequently enough, it'll be believed. How fortunate it is for leaders that men do not think. By the skillful and sustained use of propaganda, one can make a people see heaven as hell or an extremely wretched life as paradise. All propaganda has to be popular and has to accommodate itself to the comprehension of the least intelligent of those whom it seeks to reach. He alone who owns the youth gains the future. It is always more difficult to fight against faith than against knowledge. The victor will never be asked if he told the truth. So, who made the statements I just read? I challenge you to tune in next week to find out. So back to the topic of the day. What is the source of virtue and morality? Remember last week you learned that Christ is the source of liberty. So the next logical question is, what is the source of virtue and morality? By what standard do we measure virtue and morality? I pose a question to friends and fans. If you choose to ignore God's natural law, then whose law do you replace it with? Yours? Mine? The opinions of an atheist? What barometer do you use to base virtue and morality? You see, Hitler believed himself to be a man of virtue by using his own opinion or self-proclaimed human law. So did Stalin and countless other evil tyrants in history. Even well-intentioned average folks do the same. The simple truth is, if we ignore the basic providential laws of nature and replace them with our own personal, albeit misguided opinion, are we willing to stand before our Maker and account for what we have done? One thing for certain is that history has proven that every great culture has failed when they based their existence on the opinion of man and not the divine author of life itself. Ask yourself this. Why do people humanize God to fit their own false opinions? Have we not yet learned that so long as we live by the definition of insanity, we shall always fail? For history does not repeat itself. We repeat history. Sadly, those who are pushing to force their opinion that we need to accept everything and everyone based on their personal created values fail to acknowledge that perhaps the liberty that has allotted them to do so was handed to them by those who valued and embodied the eternal and immutable laws of God. So if you're not willing to stand for his natural law, then you must be willing to kneel to anything or anyone. 2 Peter 2:19 says that they promise them freedom while they themselves are slaves of depravity. For a man is a slave to whatever has mastered him. Founder George Mason said in 1772, "The laws of nature are the laws of God, whose authority can be superseded by no power on earth." Adams said in 1798, "We have no government armed and power capable of contending with human passions, unbridled by morality and religion. Our Constitution was made only for a religious and moral people. It is wholly inadequate for the government of any other." So what was John Adams saying? The Constitution can only be maintained by those who maintain the natural laws of our Creator. You see, those people who are not governed by God will be ruled by tyrants. This quote, attributed to William Penn, defines what Adams was saying perfectly. Patriot pastor Matthias Burnett of the First Baptist Church in Norwalk gave a powerful election sermon on May 12, 1803 that still applies today. "Consider well the important trust which God has put into your hands. To God and posterity, you are accountable for your rights and your rulers. Let not your children have reason to curse you for giving up those rights and prostrating those institutions which your fathers delivered to you. Look well to the characters and qualifications of those you elect and raise to office and places of trust. Think not that your interests will be safe in the hands of the weak and ignorant, or faithfully managed by the impious, the dissolute, and immoral. Think not that men who acknowledge not the providence of God, nor regard his laws, will be uncorrupt in office, firm in defense of the righteous cause against the oppressor, or resolutely oppose the torrent of iniquity. Watch over your liberties and privileges, civil and religious, with a careful eye. Are you reading from real history, folks? Written by those who lived it, or reading from someone's revisionist opinion of it? I challenge you to join us and become a liberty watchdog. In closing today, I challenge you to learn the divine meaning of virtue and morality, including the source of our nation, by visiting libertywatchdog.com. And be sure to join our email list to take the next Constitutional Boot Camp. Remember, you can't defend what you don't know. Learn it or lose it. I'm Nate Green. See you next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. May God bless you, and may God bless America.